Hi, Debbie here. Well, I'm going to be making another hot pad, and I would thought it'd be nice if we just did one together. So the first thing we're going to need, or you're going to need, is the pattern. So if you're interested in doing one together with me, just email me and I will send you the pattern. So this is this pattern. And what you're going to need to do with the pattern is you're going to need to trace it onto some interfacing. It doesn't have to be fusible interfacing. Mine's fusible, it's just that's just what I happen to have. But you're going to want to trace it onto some interfacing. And the one I used is this medium weight. So it's a medium weight interfacing, but like I said, it doesn't have to be iron on because you're not going to be ironing on anything. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need a ruler, and that is also, I'll also give you a template to cut out to use for the ruler to cut out the fabric. So I will give you the pattern and the template for the ruler, just like I said. Just email me and I will send those over to you. Now the ruler is called a half XC. This is what it looks like. And this is it here. You could probably get this on Amazon. And this is what we're going to be using to cut out our fabrics. So like I said, if you're interested, I'll have my email address in the description box below where you can let me know and I will just send these two patterns over to you. So the next thing we need to do is get our materials together, so let me go get those. Okay, well I just have my fabric. It's all pressed open, so that's how that is here. I'm going to be using brown because brown was one of the fabrics that I showed you before that I have. I figured brown's probably not going to be something most people want to work with, so I figured, you know what, I'll use the brown to make the hot pad. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pick out 5 different or 5 coordinating pieces of fabric, because you're going to need one for the binding if you want to make your own binding with your fabric, or you can just buy a binding material that matches, your fabric. Then you're going to need one here, one for here, here, and here. So you're going to really need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one for the back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what you're going to need. If you're going to use your own, if you're going to make your binding, if you're going to buy one, then you only need 5 pieces of fabric. Now you need to decide where you want to put your fabric. There's different, you've got all these different areas where you want your fabric to be. Now I've already decided where I want mine, and so let me organize it a little bit better to show you what I've decided to do with mine. Okay, so this is how I'm going to be doing mine. This piece here, this fabric, is going to go in the center. That's going to be my centerpiece. And then this light one here is going to be next. And this dark with the little stars is going to be where this red trim is. And this one here with all the little flowers is going to be here. And then the back is going to be the polka dots. So that's how I'm going to be doing my fabric. So the next thing we need to do, once you pick out your fabric, now we need to cut it to size. So let me go ahead and get my ruler and everything over here, and then we can. Now on the size of the fabric that you're going to need, they're going to be 5 inches by the width of your fabric. Now usually when you buy fabric, they usually come in 44, 43 inches, sometimes 45. So you're going to need to get that. Now I'm using fat quarters, so mine are 20 inches square. So I'm going to be cutting mine down using that. So I should have enough with a fat quarter to cut the amount of little half ruler, rulers that I'm going to need here. So, so let me set some aside and then we'll start with our cutting. Okay, the first piece I'm going to cut out is the backing of the pad, and that is 10-inch square. So I know I got it on reverse so I can see better. So I'm just going to cut out a 10-inch square. Let me get that out of the way. Where's it at? Okay. Got that little piece right there. Come on. There we go. So that's going to be the back. A 10-inch square for the back. So I can put that away. So let me just set that aside. Let me get some of this. Okay, so my next piece is going to be this piece here. And since, as a matter of fact, let me bring it out a little bit more. There we go. That's a little bit better. So I need to actually, I'm going to do it from this because I'm working over here. I need to fold it in half. Well, I need to fold it so it's 2.5 inches because I need 5 inches wide. So 2.5. Or you can just cut them into 5-inch strips, which is probably be better if I did that. Let me just do that. So I'm just going to take it and cut them into 5-inch strips. Let me move this out of the way. I know sometimes when you buy fabrics, they're not always lined up exactly the way it is, so you need to, I need to flip it around because I need to trim. I need to make this straight. I need to make this edge straight. Top a little. I use a weight to hold my ruler down while I'm working because I don't have that much strength in my arms to hold it down while I'm cutting. So I have a little helper here. Okay, so now let's cut that into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need to double check because I'm notorious for cutting at the wrong spot. Sometimes I even have to use my little tape measure to bring out and make sure I'm at where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I'm bad that way. But I get it done. Okay, so now these are going to be 5-inch strips. So that's, and out of each strip, I believe out of each strip you can get 3. So let me double check on that. Let me get my ruler. And I'm just going to double check that I can get 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. See, I can get 3. Now for this part here, for the inside, you only need 3. So you only need to cut 1 strip that's, you're only going to be cutting 3 of these little triangles. So this I can put aside. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your fabric and you're going to fold it. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the. You're going to fold it in half. Make sure you have everything exactly where it needs to be. Now I'm going to get out my spinning mat here. So when you cut, you're going to want to cut with the fold on the bottom towards you and have it open on the top, like so. Have this open here and have the fold. Let me get this out of the way. My mat's going to spin, so I need to make room for my mat to spin. So you're going to take your little template and you're going to place it down and it should be right, that should be even if you made it 5 inches. And then you're just going to want to cut on one side and then cut on the other side. So it's going to look like this, and when you open it, it's going to look like that. And for the, like I said, for the center, we're going to need to cut 3 of these. So with the fold on the bottom, just bring your template up and just line it up to where you stopped over here, and then just cut. And I know I'm kind of weak because this is a new blade, so it's not like my blade is dull, it's just that my pressure is really terrible. Okay, and this is our second one, just like our first. And then let's do the last one for the inside. Just line it up on the fold, make sure it's on the fold, and then just cut. Okay, so we've got our centerpieces cut. Now we need to do we got our centerpiece cut. Now we need to cut for these. Now, all 3 of these are cut the exact same way as this, but instead of 3, you need 6 of each. So instead of 3, you need 6. So what I'm going to do, just like before, I'm going to cut it down to 5 inches. Make sure I'm even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I always got to double check because, like I said, I'm always, I just don't trust myself. Here we go. Okay, now I know I got 3 the first time I cut it for the inside one, so I know I just need to go over another 5 inches and make another cut. And then I'll have enough to make 6. Okay, so that one's done. So that would be, okay, let me set that aside. Okay. I'm going to cut all my strips first, and then I'll come back and then I'll cut with the ruler. So let me go ahead and do that. Also, I need you to know that when you're cutting and when you go to the next one, you can't flip it like this and then cut again, because a lot of times you can do that. It always has to be, the bottom always has to be on the fold. What you can do before you start cutting is you can take these strips, fold them in half, and go to the iron and just iron them. That way they won't move, so you can also do that. Okay, I just need to continue on. Okay, so we've got everything cut. What we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to start folding. And what I mean by that is we're going to be taking one side and we're going to be bringing it over to the bottom, like so. So it's going to look like this. So we're going to be doing that for the front one, for the top, for this part. Now when we get to this part, whichever fabric you're going to use for the second one, you're going to want to take it, I'm just grabbing one, I don't know if this is going to be my second one or not, and you're going to be going the opposite way. That way everything lays flat. So let me show you a little bit better here. You come in, and you're going to, let me come up closer, you're going to come in, take the corner, come all the way over to this corner over here on the bottom, just like that, and you're going to press it. So go over the iron board. So what it's going to look like, so when you get ready to put it on here, they fit in these little areas like so when it's time for you to put this together. So let's do that. So we're going to, the folded side is away from you this time, and then just bring it over, and then you're going to iron it like that. Now you're going to do that for the inside one, and then your next piece of fabric that you're going to have to go here, you're going to take it, instead of going from right to left, now you're going to go from left to right, like so, and then press it. And then when you get to the other one, you're going to go right to left, and then this one you're going to go left to right. So you're just alternating how you're going to make your fold. One circle goes one way, and then when you get to the next row, it goes another way. So you're just reversing it. So I am going to take these over to the iron, and we'll start ironing these out. Okay, so we're going to just press. And for this one, we're going to go from right to left, come all the way down to the corner over here. Oops, sorry, all the way down to the corner. And then we're just going to press it. Like so. And then we'll do the same. I just want to make that crease a little bit. Come over. Sorry, I keep getting out of frame here. And then press it. Now, since I went from right to left, my next row is going to be left to right. So we're going the other way now. So now we're going to go this way, all the way, line it up, and then give it a good press. There you go. I know my ironing board cover is a little busy. It might be, I know it's a little hard to show you exactly what. Now we're going this way. And then we're going to go to the next one. And now we're going to go right to left. And then on our last row, we're going to go left to right. So let me do that. Okay, I think I'm zoomed in enough so that you'll be able to see what I'm going to be doing as far as laying them down. Now, like we said on the center one here, I'll leave this here so I can just grab it. You're going to take that one little scrap that I told you you're going to need, and you're just going to place that in here. Just like so. Now, you do have an option to just lay your whole pattern down before you go to the sewing machine, or you can tack it into place so it doesn't move. I use this, it's a basting glue. It's just for basting. It just holds things together until it gives you time to go to the sewing machine and sew. So I am going to be using a little bit of this too. That's optional. You don't need to do that. You could probably use any kind of a fabric type glue, but once if it's like a permanent thing and not a basting thing, you just make sure you know exactly where you want it before you move it. So let me, so I'll just take a little bit. I just do a little, that's way more than I need, but, and then I'll just place it. And that just holds everything in place so things don't move while we start stacking things. Whoops, stuck to my finger. Here we go. As a matter of fact, I need to put a piece of paper under here. It's gonna go, because it'll go right through it'll go right through here. There we go, that's better. So let that. Now we're gonna go to the next row. Now you can see this design here, how it goes like this. This is how these are gonna go in. Now the open ends are gonna always be towards you. So what you're going to do is you're going to line this up with these guidelines here. See these you'll see these little guidelines, and they're going to go right in there. So you're just going to, your fold is going to go right with those guidelines. And then you're going to take your next one, and that's going to go with that guideline, like so. I know I'm turning, it's just easier if I turn it. And then this one is going to go like so. And that's just going to get glued into place or set into place just like that. And the reason for this piece right here in the center is in case for some reason your points don't come all the way together, you don't see the, you know, the bat, you know, you don't see the inside. It just closes everything up. So there's no peeking in the back. So that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take some glue and just tack it into place. And make sure I'm all lined up. Go to the next one. And it's a basting, so if you needed to move it, you got plenty of time. This isn't going to set so fast that if you needed to move it, you wouldn't have time to do that. You got plenty of time. You got a lot of working room with these. And then we'll go to the next one. So we just line it up just like that. Because once we have this all together, we're going to take this whole thing with your fin and we're going to be sewing on the sewing machine. So you don't want your interfacing really, really thick. I mean, you could do it that way, but I just think the medium weight's good. Okay, now we're going to go to the next level. That's this one here. Now this is the one that's folded the opposite way. See how it's going to be different? See how this goes to the right and this one goes to the left. That way you don't have that. See how they lay flat? They're not stacked up on each other as if you had everything going this way. So that's why we alternate them. So now we're going to line everything up. Make sure everything's lined with your lines and then just tack it down. Okay, did I screw up already? Wait a minute, I might have. I was overthinking myself for a minute. I thought I did something wrong. I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. Now when you get to the last one on this row, now the first row it didn't really matter, but on this one it does. When you get to your last one, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to lift this up when you put this one down, like so. So if you do glue this you'll have enough time to lift it up. If not, just don't glue that one side, if you can remember. It doesn't, you know. It's just it for the next 2 rows. That's what you're going to have to do for the very last one. Can you bring that over? Yeah, the very last one, you need to lift that up. And tuck it like that. So that's how that goes. So now I'm going to continue on around with the next 2, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, let's get this last one on. Tuck it in. So this is what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to let this glue set a little bit before I take it. I got to set up my sewing machine, and then we'll do the next step, sewing this together. Okay, well, I have my sewing machine all set up. Now I can't record me sewing, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be, here's what I'm going to do on these, these little the flaps here, is I'm going to start sewing a little bit. I'm actually going to sew right on the lines, but I will move this out of the way a little bit. So when I do sew, I'm going to go over a little bit so that when it comes back down, it hides my stitching. But you will see the stitching on the rest of them, but that's just the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch these areas, and then I'll come right back and show you what it looks like. Okay, I've got it all sewn on. And when you'll notice when you did your tracing, you did this circle. We're going to be sewing inside that circle now about 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to sew all the way around about 1/8 of an inch away from that circle. So you're just going to put it into your sewing machine this way. This is the part you're going to be sewing on top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and go do that. Okay, after you've sewn inside the line, now you need to go and cut on that circle that you drew. So go ahead and cut it out. Okay, I've got it all cut out. So we've got it cut out the way we want it. Now the next thing is we need to put in the backing. So you're going to take your backing material and place it face down. Take your piece of batting and place that right on top. And then place this on top of that, however you want. Now there's a lot of options when she gets to this stage. You can go in and you can stitch about 1/8 of an inch around the star, however you'd like. This is so dark for me, I don't think I can do that. I can't, once I get in, because I looked in my machine to see if I could do that, get in there and see exactly where I am, but since this fabric is so dark, I can't exactly see where one fabric ends and one begins for me to do that kind of a stitching, unless I was to do it by hand. But for me, I'm not going to do it by hand. But if you want to do that and you can see where you are, just go around the star about 1/8 of an inch. And if you want to, you can also do the inside and just stitch it down. So why don't you do that? I'm going to go practice a little bit with mine and see if I can come up with something. I'll be right back. Okay, well, I was able to go around the outside. I don't think you can see it. You can't see it really too much on the back here, but there is a star. So I was able to do that. Inside here, not so much, so I didn't even try that. So the next thing we need to do, you can do it however you want. You can embroider this however you want. You can do all kinds of embroidery on here. That's just all the, well, quilting, I should say. Now we just need to cut this out. So we just go around and we just cut. Just go around and cut it out. Okay, so this is cut out. The last thing we need to do now is do the binding. Now I have to make a binding out of one of the fabrics that I used to make this, and so I need to sew the two ends. I need to sew two ends together to make it long enough to go around. But if you're going to buy it, it's 1.5 inch. It's 1.5 inch by with the fabric. You know, if you're buying it, it's going to be whatever's in your roll of binding, but it needs to be 1.5 inches wide for this. So let me cut out the material I want for my binding and sew it together. So let me go do that. I'm going to use the little star fabric for my binding. So I need to sew these two strips together. So if you're making yours, this is how you'll do it. You'll take, lay one down, take the other one, right sides together into like a little, it's going right up against here. So you're going to put right sides together. So it looks like a little L. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew on the diagonal. You're just going to go from this corner all the way down to that corner. Now you can mark it with a, you can mark it with a pen and then just sew on the line, which is what I'm going to do. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Put these two pieces together because I'm not sure how much I need, so I'd rather have too much than not enough. So I just go from one corner to the next. And I'll make a mark. I know working with dark fabric, it's hard to see. So yeah, I can see that. That looks good. I'm just going to hold that in place with a clip. You can use a clip or a pin, whatever. I'm just going to go to the sewing machine and just sew across that line. Okay, I've got it sewn. I just need to cut this back a little bit. Open it, and I'm just going to go to the iron and just iron this flat. Okay, well, if you're making your own binding, you need to take one side and you need to fold it in 1/4 inch and press. Now if you bought binding, you can skip this part of it, but you need to go and fold it in 1/4 inch. This is the right side. You're going to fold that over into the wrong side and then just make 1/4 inch. Just press a seam there. And then after you do that, you're going to want to come back and you're going to need to bring this corner down to make a 45-degree angle like this. Press it, and then you're going to open it up, and then you're just going to cut a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. So let me do that and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I pressed it. This is what it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark. See, I opened it and I just folded it over and pressed it to make a 45-degree angle. Now I'm going to open it, and then where the crease is, I'm going to come over 1/4 inch and then make a cut. If I can find my little crease in this dark material, that's what I'm going to do. It's 1/4 inch. Okay. As a matter of fact, I might have to just make a mark here. Make a mark here. Yeah, it's hard to see this crease. So that's my 1/4. And then this is going to fold over. Okay, now the next thing is you're going to need a lot of pins or a lot of clips. Then you're going to have to go around and clip this into place. Right sides together when you clip. And you're going to go all the way around. And the raw edge is what's going up to the It's going up there. So it's going to take a lot of clips. And I'm going to go all the way around, and I'll show you how we're going to finish this on when we get to where we began from the beginning. Okay, I've gone around and I'm back to where I began. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go over about maybe another inch, and then I'm just going to trim it in an angle, just like so. And then I'm just going to finish going around. Okay, just take that piece and just go all the way over that 1 inch, because we're eventually going to roll this over to the back. But first we're going to need to sew all this on. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, binding, you know, some things you just can't do. Me and binding, we don't get along very well. No matter how many times I do it, I have a tough time with binding. Well, anyway, sometimes I get so frustrated I just sew it on by hand. But I'm going to go ahead and do it with the machine. So I'm going to go around with the machine and tack it on, and then I'll come back and we'll flip it over to the other side. Also, I'm coming in about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, just to give you an idea how far in. I'm not doing the very edge. I'm coming in about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, well, I've got it all pinned. So what I'm going to do on the front side, I'm going to sew right in the ditch there. And hopefully I'll catch it on the back. Wish me luck. See you in a bit. Okay, our hot pad is complete. We did a good job. I did better on better than I usually do on the back, but yep, this is how it turned out. So, like I said, if anybody wants to do this, just give me an email and I'll send you the pattern. And I want to thank all of you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.